Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. With us now is Representative Ted Poe, Republican from Texas and a member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. And Representative Poe, thanks for being with us today.
Good to talk to you, Kathleen.
Well, the Obama administration says we should continue sending aid to Egypt for now. You've said in the past we should suspend aid to Egypt. How do you view the administration's decision to continue sending aid there?
Well, one new thing has occurred in the last week or so is the law is getting in the way of the president's decision to continue to send military aid. Our Foreign Assistance Act actually says that if there is a military coup and the government is deposed, then we are to cut off aid to that country. That's in the law. And we would hope, I would hope, the president would just follow the law. There's no excuse for really just justifying this continued aid to Egypt. I don't know that we even have a policy. We don't know which side we're on. This is the result of our interference as a nation into somebody else's affairs, namely the Arab Spring. Mubarak was a dictator, but he sided with the United States. We supported him up until the moment that he was thrown out, mainly by the Muslim Brotherhood, and then we supported the Muslim Brotherhood, and that new president, he became a dictator using the powers of democracy to take over the country and abuse that power. He's no longer president, and so we have the military in control. This is the result of the United States interfering with other countries' internal problems. And now we are going to continue to give military aid to this government. We don't even know who's in charge yet. So the law says we're not to give money when a coup takes place. The president, Jay Kerry, says, well, it's not really a coup, it's something else. Well, it looks like a coup, it sounds like a coup, it is a coup, you call it something else, it is a military coup. We should not be given money until we at least let the smoke settle and see who's in charge. So we should withhold that foreign assistance.
Representative Poe, you say that the president will be breaking the law if he continues to send support to Egypt. How will House Republicans hold the president accountable here to ensure that he does follow the law?
Well, it's important that the Congress press the administration to follow the law. This is not the first time this administration has decided to ignore law and go his own way. We know in the immigration debate, the president doesn't agree with some of the current immigration laws, so he just ignores those. In fact, writes his own laws and edicts regarding immigration. So we just want to press the issue. We will continue to do so, as it is the responsibility of Congress. Unfortunately, we have to make the president follow the law. He doesn't do it on his own.
Now, you say that this is a coup, but there seems to be some debate as to whether Morsi's ouster was indeed a military coup or not. Egyptian opposition leader Ahmed Said last week told me in an interview that it wasn't a coup, but instead a revolution because the military was just executing the will of the people. Why are you so convinced that this is a coup as opposed to a revolution?
Well, it fits all the definitions of a coup. It can be called a revolution, it can be called a civil war, but the military deposed the president. That's a coup in my opinion. So I know there are many Republicans who support and think we should still give aid to Egypt. I am one that doesn't think we should give it to them. I think the law also prohibits it. We need to find out who's actually in charge of this country before we send any more aid to Egypt.
And you touched on this earlier. The Obama administration backed Morsi and the Muslim Brotherhood from the get-go, and a number of Egyptians are really disappointed that the administration didn't take a stand in support of the people there. What does this tell us about the administration's foreign policy in the Middle East, that it chooses to side with the Muslim Brotherhood as opposed to the civil society there?
Well, I think that was a mistake to side with the Muslim Brotherhood to begin with. But it's difficult for us as Americans to really know what our foreign policy is in the Middle East. It depends on the day of the week, and it's different policy for different countries. There is no consistent policy. We've long since abandoned, in my opinion, the philosophy that our assistance should be based upon, our policy should be based on what's in the best national security interest of the United States. So I don't know the ground rules or the basis of our foreign policy. It changes, and it seems like we support a person for a while and then we don't support the individual. We support revolutions in some countries, we don't support them in other countries. We give guns to some rebels, we don't to other rebels. Inconsistent foreign policy, and the problem is we don't know, but also foreign countries don't know, and our enemies don't know what our foreign policy is.
Representative Poe, while we have you, I'd like to get your quick take on immigration. As a Texan, I know you're a huge advocate for border security. How do you view the bipartisan Senate legislation, and should the House take it up for a vote?
The Senate legislation, I think, has numerous problems in it. The House, as of today, I understand the House is not going to take up the Senate bill, and we shouldn't. We should pass our own legislation, and we are methodically moving through those issues. I've introduced a border security bill. Congressman McCall has introduced one. We have passed some legislation regarding interior enforcement, which is, I think, very important. E-Verify has been passed. So we're passing several pieces of legislation through the committee process, including, I think, next we need to work on temporary guest workers and see what's best for the United States regarding temporary guest workers. We will work on those. We will pass certain legislation, bring that to the House floor when it's all completed, and we will pass our own legislation. I think it's very important that in the House of Representatives, controlled by Republicans, that the conservatives have a conservative bill or bills regarding the entire gamut on immigration, from border security on.
Considering the differences between the House, though, and the Senate on key issues such as amnesty and border security, do you think that we'll actually have immigration legislation signed into law this year? Or does a divided Congress signal this legislation's demise?
I don't know what will happen. I don't know what the prediction will be. But it is important that we have a House alternative, that we have a House bill or bills regarding all of the numerous problems and issues regarding immigration. And I think we will. Then we will pass that legislation and we will go from there. Whether it's a conference report or whether the Senate takes up our bill, whether the President is even in favor of immigration reform, we will find all that out as we progress. But our duty now as conservatives is to lead in the House with immigration legislation to make sure that it's fair and that it is something that we can actually pass in the House of Representatives that will work to solve these numerous problems. That's our duty.
Last question for you, Representative Poe. I understand that the House GOP has a special conference planned for tomorrow, a strategy session, if you will, to discuss immigration reform legislation, which, according to media reports, has divided Republicans. Is there a schism within the Republican Party on this issue?
Yes, there is. Not all Republicans agree on what we should do regarding immigration. There are those who don't want to do anything. Of course, my opinion about that is doing nothing promotes the current system, which is amnesty. And so we cannot take that approach of just being against something, against everything. We have to take the initiative to be for something. But that's the purpose of this meeting tomorrow. I think it's supposed to last at least 2 hours, where we find out as a group of Republicans and conservatives where we all stand on these numerous issues, because there are numerous issues regarding immigration, and what we can support and what will pass the House of Representatives. So I think it's a good idea for the Speaker to have this conference with Republicans to let us all air out what we think about immigration and some of the solutions to these numerous problems. And I'm looking forward to it.
All right, Representative Ted Poe, Republican from Texas, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.